Hey guys, how's it going? I'm gonna do a quick video walkthrough of the software on the new Samsung Gear Fit 2. So like many Android Wear devices and Samsung Gear devices in the past, you do have the option to either turn the display on by pressing either the power button or back button located on the side here, or you can cover the display also to turn it off, or by flicking your wrist if you want it to turn on. As you can see, it doesn't always work, but it does get there eventually, just like any other Android Wear watch or Samsung watch. So first of all, you have your main clock here. You have the option, like many other Android Wear or wearable devices, to press and hold to change whatever clock, widget, whatever Samsung wants to call these. I believe they call everything a widget that you want. You can stylize them, which basically means just change your color or change what they look like, more or less. So that's a nice, low touch to have. Personally, I think the simple ones are better. It is mainly a fit device, so you want something simple. The stock one is actually this with a blue background, which you'll find right here, or bluish purple. On the device, if you swipe to your left, this is where all of your notifications will come in. So it's nice to have everything right there and convenient. If you want to go home, you just simply tap the power button here once, and you'll go home. Another nice thing to notice is that you have all these cards, which Samsung again calls widgets, and you can see here you have like steps, heart rate, stuff like that. You can add more, like caffeine intake, floors climbed, steps ahead, water, all the fun stuff. And if you hit this top button right here, if you guys can see the top, this is a back button, this is your power button, and your multi-purpose button. So hit back. If I hit home, I'll go home. If I double tap this, it will open settings. That's what I have it set up as. And go have it once home. Single tap again, from home, you'll get here. If you guys can see that. Looks like it doesn't want to focus clearly, but basically you just have all of your apps here that you would possibly want to use on the device that I just showed you, and a few more like your music player, step count, heart rate, and all the stuff. Let me see if I can get this guy to cooperate here. That's a little better. The display might be a little too bright for my S7 Edge to focus on, so let me just scale that down a little bit. Let's go with 2. That seems a lot better. So as you can see here, I am now in the settings menu, as I mentioned before. And if you guys notice, you have display. You can do your watch face is always on is an option. You'll see here, it'll prompt you. It's going to instantly drain your battery, whatever, not a big deal. Notification indicator, which will pop up on the top left-hand side of your watch face. Screen timeout, you're given the option for up to a minute. They all drain your battery, so it doesn't matter. Font, you can change your font size, small, medium, large. Medium's default, I like small personally. You can also change the style. You just have stock Samsung fonts here that you see on any Samsung device. I wish they had Roboto, but they don't. Go back again. You can do your brightness. It does go all the way up to 11, but it will warn you before you do that because that is outdoor mode. It says, keep maximum of 5 if you want sustainable battery life, which I kind of agree with. Owning the original Gear Fit, anything above middle, you're going to get pretty average battery life at best. So if we go back, we can see a vibration. You can have long vibrations for calls, notifications, regular. You go to device, which this is where your wake up gesture lies. I think it should be under display personally, but it's not. You have your multi-purpose - power key, as I mentioned right here, the bottom button, and you can set it. I have it set it for settings, but to pretty much anything on the Gear Fit itself. Your logs, nothing at all. Stopwatch timer together, which is kind of like a thing Samsung has where you can compete with other people and compare your data and see who's doing what. Personally, I don't see a point in having that, but if you want it, it's there. That app in particular. Go to connections. You can turn Wi-Fi on and off, Bluetooth, alerts for disconnection. Your GPS is also in here. If you want it on or off, prompt you GPS. Go back. You also have power saving. Turn your screen grayscale, etc. So we can turn that on and see what it does. I haven't turned it on yet, so I couldn't tell you what it does, but we'll find out here in a second. Oh, it actually looks quite nice in grayscale. It looks like you're just limited to this screen here. Yeah, that's unfortunate. So you can turn that off. Kind of like ultra power saving mode, I guess, on the S7, S6, etc. So while that turns off, I did try pairing this with my Nexus 6P. It worked without an issue. Just you have to do a light factory reset, which I'll show you here in a minute. So we're going to go back up. I know I skipped over screen lock. You do have the option to have a screen lock on the device itself, a pin or nothing. I don't see a need to lock the screen personally, but some of you might like that. You're also giving your profile, your height, all the fun stuff, typical stuff in there. Health nudges, do you want it to vibrate and tell you didn't walk anything, how far you've walked, etc. Gear info, diagnostics, I don't need that on. Debugging, reset the gear, as I mentioned. There are two options. There's a light reset, which as you see here, it will only delete your apps, not the actual data. So it's one of those things like, hey, I want to pair this with another device, which kind of sucks. You have to reset it, but it's not a full factory reset like on Android Wear or in the past. So you do have the option to do this lighter reset if you do want, or if you choose to, or a regular conventional factory reset. So we can go back here and we can go have a look at, as I mentioned, the display, always on. So let me show you guys what that looks like. You just have this little clock here. It does vary depending on the watch face you choose. So I'm going to show you guys a different watch face here. Let's pick this guy. Looks a little interesting. And let's see what the ambient mode looks like on that. It's pretty neat. I mean, every watch face, of course, has a different ambient mode, which is also nice to see. Just like, Android Wear or the Gear S2. You're given the option to have, different watch faces, different ambient modes, etc. GPS does lock on pretty fast, so what I did is I clicked on Start Activity. I picked walking. So I just picked a random time interval, so it'll notify you every set distance. So here we're going to have a look at, whatever it is. It'll tell you your speed based on the GPS. So right now, it's going to use the device's GPS, not my phone, to tell me how fast I'm going, duration, heart rate, distance, etc. As you can see here, the GPS is being used on the Gear Fit itself, which, I'll have to report on how that works and how the battery life is affected, etc. So when you're using this to track a workout like I just did, if you hit the top button, it will pause the workout, and from there you can hit finish, etc. Or you can go, and hit unpause, hit the key again. If you hit home, you can go home and look at stuff there. If you want to look at your activity, you swipe down just like on Android, and you bring up your activity right there. So I'm going to get out of this. So on that note, we can go over and look at that in a second. You can swipe down from your top and you have your notification shade. So if you guys can see that there, you're told your battery percentage, Bluetooth, brightness, all the fun stuff. So, do not disturb mode, media player. So you can go in here, you can see, what's playing. It's a random song from my Google Play Music is playing right now. Go to standalone mode. Can play it just from the gear itself. I had 1.86 gig used by the system when I set up my Gear Fit 2, so you don't have a whole lot of room for music, but the option to have it as a standalone player is still nice. Just don't expect to have your whole library with you at any given time. So in the standalone mode, if you go, just some random Samsung song is playing that's on here, I guess, you have the option to, change song, go back and forth. You can swipe up, bring up your library, all the menus here you'd expect from a media player. You can go back, all the fun stuff. You can adjust your volume, I believe, if you were to hit that, if it were playing music, and, all the fun stuff you have there. Overall, so far, the software on the device that does run Tizen is nice. I don't think it's horrible. I think it's set up about as intuitively as Android Wear, maybe a little less so. I like it so far. I have no real issues other than the fact that some things are hiding in areas that you may not think to find them, especially like the wake gesture like I showed you, which is, under device, not under display. But overall, I think the device is quite well made and works well. On the software side, as far as the Gear Fit goes, we'll go over the actual software on the phone in another video. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and let me know what you think down in the comments.